Oh, hit him in the knee with the snowball. He's definitely not AFK. I'm just really good at snowballs. Oh, what? Oh, that's how you do it. Hello, friends, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be playing some Modern Warfare, so let's get right on into it. And in the spirit of the holidays, given that today is Christmas Eve, oh, thank the Lord, it is almost Christmas, I wanted to do some Christmas-themed gameplay, and of course, the COD devs helped me out with that by coming out with a Christmas-themed version of the map Dock, which is super duper cool, and this snowball fight is super fun. I had a lot of fun just playing with snowballs. They should have this as a playlist. Just snowball fights or like paintball fights, just a bunch of non-lethal stuff. I think it would be really fun and really cool. And I know a lot of people, when Modern Warfare was announced, were saying that there should be non-lethal options in this game, which I sort of scoffed at, but hey, this snowball fight is definitely non-lethal and I like it. And today I wanted to do something interesting. I wanted to do something a little bit different when it comes to my commentary. I wanted to change it up, and I'm going to be doing that by telling a story, a very interesting story, at least I think. And this story is one of the many experiences that I've had in my life, and hopefully you guys think that this story is as interesting as I do, although I am pretty biased because it is a story about myself, and obviously I am myself. And so this story is probably going to be parted out into probably three parts over two different videos. And definitely let me know down in the comment section down below if you enjoyed this story, or if you want to hear more, or if you don't want me to be telling stories, you don't care, you don't want to hear the end of this story and you just want me to stop, I can also do that too if you comment down below and let me know. Otherwise, I'm not going to know, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. So this story starts out on the 25th of October this year, just before Halloween started. And on that 25th, here in Northern California, PG&E was still shutting power off intermittently because of the fires. And on that night, I was at home and I crack a beer, and right as I crack a beer, the power goes off. And so obviously I can't sit at home and drink, so what am I going to do? I am going to go down to my local bar. And that night of all nights, there was something very special going on at that bar. It wasn't just anything, it was a Halloween party, and it wasn't just any Halloween party, it was a burlesque dancer Halloween party, and one that I had been anticipating for a very long time. So I called my buddy, I try to see if he wants to come down to the bar with me, as we had made plans to go there before, and he doesn't pick up his phone. Turns out his carrier, T-Mobile, just was not functioning at that time. They were just being overclocked with all the people trying to use their phones when the power was out, which sucks. But I went over to his house, got his dad to wake him up, and he wouldn't get into my truck, unfortunately, so I head on down to the bar by myself without him, and I see my buddy who's the bartender. And just for the sake of this story, I'm not going to be naming any names. This is probably the only story where I'll do that. I'm just going to name my own name, and obviously, just because it's a very controversial story and it ends in a very interesting way, and I don't want to put anybody on blast. I don't hold anything against anybody that was involved in this story, and I just want to make that clear. So I'm just going to be referring to people as my buddy and try to differentiate them so this story makes sense. And so my buddy, who's a bartender, was there, and I saw him. He was dressed up in his Halloween costume. Very, very festive, very, very cool, and he was actually the Bear Jew from Inglourious Basterds. He had the bat, he had the slacks, he had the suspenders, he was looking like a straight up enforcer. It was super cool. He was more intimidating than the actual bouncer that was there, and I complimented on it, and yeah, it was pretty cool. So I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, the burlesque dancers haven't showed up, and I could still go pick up my buddy if I can get him to actually get in the truck. So I text him and I say, you know what, I'm not asking you, you are coming to this. We made plans to come to this. We were very excited. We both wanted to see just how burlesque these dancers actually were, so I'm gonna pick you up. And so I did. I got him into my truck, and then we went back to the bar, and we're sitting there in probably the worst seats in the bar because this place was absolutely crowded. And the reason for that was because the power was off in basically all of South San Jose, so everybody was flocking down south to Scotts Valley to find somewhere that had power. And the thing about the power outages is that they do not shut off the power in the actual town of Scotts Valley. They were just shutting off power to basically all the outskirts, which is where most people live. So I was out of power at home, but the bar still had power. And so there was tons of people there. We could not get good seats. We were sitting right in front of the speaker. We were just yelling at each other, just like, what? You know, I can't hear you. You know, that's how it goes when you can't get good seats. And finally, some seats opened up at the bar, and I went over there and I grabbed a Bud Light, and he grabbed a Halloween-themed drink. It was like some kind of like dyed, I don't know, I think it had like Fireball in it, and it was like dyed red or something like that. and you know, there's a whole bunch of things that were on sale that were Halloween themed that were really cool. But I am a good old beer man, and I got myself a Miller Lite like I always do because they are cheap. $2.75, the cheapest beer at that bar. And so we sit there, and just as we sit down, the burlesque dancers begin to show up, and it just so happens that the very seats that we picked were front row seats to these dancers. There was like 3 of them, and they were right in front of both of us. And one of them, I remember, was dressed up as sort of like an Aladdin character with a genie in a bottle, except the genie inside of that bottle was not a genie, it was in fact oil. So that was pretty cool. I'm not going to get into too much detail about that because I want to keep this family friendly, and it was fun. I'll just say that I ended up pulling out a 20 out of my wallet and tipping a 20, which is not something I normally do. I'm not, you know, flush with cash. I'm not a rich dude. But anyways, it was super fun, and my buddy was sitting there. I'm leaning in on the bar. I'm just watching, having a good old time, and he's leaning back as far as he can go with his arms crossed, totally weirded out. He's like, I did not expect to be sitting right in front of the dancers. This is not what I signed up for. And anyways, guys, I'm going to cut the story right there. It gets very interesting, but it is very long, and I really do need to set this story up so the ending actually makes sense. You guys need to go through this night with me, and the night is just beginning. The night has just begun, and there is intrigue, there is mystery, there is violence, there are people punching things, all sorts of stuff in this story, and I'll get to it in the next installment of Austin's story time. And I have tons and tons of stories that I could tell you guys if you're interested. I don't know if they're all going to be interesting to you, but there's something to talk about, and they fill up time in these little clips. So I feel like it would be something good for me to do moving forward, at least in the games that I've been replaying over and over again. I am going to be getting some new games this Christmas because there are some good sales going on, so we'll be able to pick up games like Overwatch and some other CODs, which will be really fun, and I'll talk about those, my opinions about those as well. Anyways, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Christmas Eve, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.